absolutely fucked as farmers, guys. Everything is so fucked, and I do not see anybody surviving this farm crisis that we're in. Guys, look, one of the best splorn crops that I have ever raised in my life. And because of the tariffs, China will not fucking buy it. And they are the only country in the world other than, well, they are the only country in the world that buys splorn. And so now I'm literally just chopping it, blowing it on the fucking ground because it's fucking useless. It's valueless. There's nothing I can fucking do to it. I am going to need government assistance to make it through this fucking crisis until these tariffs end. Look, I've never raised a splorn crop like this, guys. And this is just fucking heartbreaking to me. I don't know how I'm gonna survive. You know, Trump said he fucking loved us farmers, and here I am just blowing my splorn crop all over the ground. Hopefully he works the deal out where Antarctica and Mars will start buying this splorn and save the farmers. I'm sorry, splorn crop, but you're fucked.
This is a soybean. Right now, millions of tons of these are sitting in fields just like this, with nowhere to go because of Washington's trade wars. Americans already pay 86% of the tariffs, and now Washington's idea of a solution is to take even more of your money to bail out farmers for a problem that they created.
China ain't bought a single bushel from the United States this year. They just bought 84 million bushels from Argentina in 2 days, and the United States thought it was a good idea to go ahead and loan Argentina $20 billion just so their economy can do a little bit better. Y'all tell me if I'm wrong by being a little upset or pissed off.
Now, I've never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on.
He said, I love you, Mr. Trump. I need to see the fruit of your love.
Greetings, my lovely people, and once again, welcome back to my channel. So many farmers in America have turned on President Trump because of most of them have gone bankrupt, have faced foreclosures and financial ruin because of Trump's tariffs, trade wars, and broken promises, which has ended up destroying the markets they depended on. So 90% rural farmers, they voted for Trump because they were promised prosperity, because they believed that his tough stance on trade would mean better deals, more opportunities, but instead, the trade wars have done more harm than good to their farms and to their livelihoods. So let's get to see the reactions, then we come back with commentary. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing so you never miss any update from my videos. Let's dive into it.
Well, my friends, our farmers are in full-blown crisis, and it's not because of Mother Nature. It's because of Donald Trump's reckless tariffs that have torched decades of trade relationships and handed America's agriculture future to China and Brazil on a silver platter. 12,000 tons of pork canceled. Soybean exports collapsed, and family farms are now shutting down. And it doesn't stop there. Longshoremen, truckers, warehouse workers, entire communities are being gutted. This didn't have to happen, but Trump wanted a trade war. He wanted headlines, and now our farmers are paying the price while China laughs its way to the Brazilian soybean fields. And to make it worse, farmers who sign contracts with their own government, they're being stiffed, left holding the bag.
Got a little farming news for y'all. You may or may not know China is the United States' biggest customer for our soybean crop. We need trade deals with them pretty bad because they buy the biggest majority of our soybeans. Argentina and Brazil, down in South America, they're our biggest competitor in soybeans and corn. Sometimes they raise 2 or 3 crops of corn. They always raise a big soybean crop. But Argentina is a huge competitor for the United States. Well, this week, Argentina lifted a tax, a commodities export tax. I don't know the exact name of what it was. They lifted a tax on exporting commodities, grain, stuff like that. Well, in 2 days' time, China made a really good business deal. They bought 84 million bushels of soybeans from Argentina. That's 30 cargo ships worth in 2 days' time. Good business move by China. Don't blame them at all there. Well, in the meantime, Argentina stopped that, put tax back on because they hit their quota. Well, Last night there was some kind of meeting. I don't know what all went down, but I know the biggest part of it that went down. The Argentina economy is pretty horrible. The peso is way below the dollar right now. They done a deal with the United States for some kind of line swap, pretty much a loan. The United States is about to send $20 billion to Argentina. Argentina is going to send $20 billion worth of their peso, which is not worth the same amount as our dollar is. So we're getting kind of the raw end of the deal on that one. And another thing about Argentina, they're not the best in the business about paying their bills back. They're kind of like your sister's boyfriend that don't got no job and don't really like to pay for nothing and rides off of everybody else. That's kind of the way Argentina is. We just sent them $20 billion. All the while, they're sending tax-free China 84 million bushels of soybeans. That don't make much sense. That's kind of like wiping before you poop. Why would you help out your biggest competition and hurt yourself with your biggest customer? I don't understand the deal. I don't know what's going on. I ain't trying to make this political. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. If you voted for Trump, if you didn't vote for Trump, even if you did, there comes a time you need to start holding people accountable. I don't understand what's going on, but they need to get their head out of their rear end and start helping out the United States and their farming economy before they go to helping South America and other farming economies. I don't know. That don't make a lot of sense to me, but hey, that's just, it bees like that sometimes. You'll have that on them big jobs, but that's the big news.
Are you a farmer? If you're not a farmer, you don't have to pay attention. Since I'm in the financial world, every day I read the New York Times business section. Headline today, China bought $12.6 billion in U.S. soybeans last year. Now it's $0. Almost $13 billion versus zero. Farmers ain't going to be happy. Why did this happen? Yeah, because of Trump's tariffs. That's exactly why it happened. There is no other reason. Okay, you might say, what about other countries of the world? Are they buying American soybeans? Well, let's see. Total soybean exports to the rest of the world are still down 23% this year. Now, I feel badly for the farmers who overwhelmingly supported Donnie, but just like last time he was in office and they got screwed, they're going to hold their hands out for a handout. Are they going to call that socialism? Are they going to call that welfare? No, I don't know what they're going to call it, but they're going to ask for it. Do you think that's fair? I want the farmers to do well. Truly, we can't live without our farmers. But I wish they would realize what Trump is doing, has done, and will do. To make it easy, Trump screws everybody.
This is terrifying. What? Farmers across America are going bankrupt. They're calling it Farmageddon. Good. Serves them right for supporting Trump. You still don't get it, do you? Where do you buy food? The grocery store? And you think food prices are bad now? Just wait. Tariffs have decimated farmers. What do you think happens when you start ridiculous trade wars with other countries? They get mad? Yeah, understatement. China's the world's top soybean buyer, and soybeans alone brought in $13 billion for American farmers last year. Now those sales, almost all gone. Yikes. And that's not all. These immigration crackdowns, some farms lost 100% of their workers, all kidnapped by ICE. Now, how do you pick food without workers? You can't. It's rotting in the field. Whoa. Plus, seeds, feeds, machinery, potash, pesticides, all more expensive than ever before. Then you add on high interest rates, and what do you get? Farmageddon? Bingo. And farmers were already 3 times more likely to die by suicide. Ugh. And don't forget, in 22, J.D. Vance's venture capital firm heavily invested in Acre Trader, an app specifically designed to buy up farmland for cheap and sell shares to investors. Wait, so the goal is, want to control people? Control their food. So what do? Thoughts?
Well, it ends up that I was dead right all those times I made the satire videos about the soybean farmers going out of business, because that's exactly what's happening right now. In years past, China would buy 1/3 of the soybeans produced in the United States from all the soybean farmers. And right now they're buying zero soybeans from all the farmers, and all of the fall crops are coming in right now, and they don't have buyers, and they're all about to go out of business because of all of his absolutely horrid tariff policies. Why anyone ever thought these tariffs were a good idea is beyond me, but they sure as fuck are not. And now rural America and farms across our country are paying the price. This happened in 2017, by the way. And he had to do a huge, like, $30 billion bailout for the farmers. Who knows if he's going to do it again? Who knows if he even cares about giving them a bailout? It doesn't seem like he cares about them at all based on all of his horrible policies, so.
To all my farmer neighbors, my name is Susie, and I live in rural Missouri. You were warned over and over and over. We told you there was no drag queen story hour. There were no furries in our school using litter boxes. But you guys refused to call the superintendent of the schools like I did. I called Rolla Public Schools and asked Dr. Dare if there was any truth to that. He laughed and said maybe I was watching too much TV. We told you that China signed 20-year contracts with Brazil for soybeans. You laughed in our face. I'm not going to say I told you so, but I do not want to bail you out for the next 20 years, and I will fight against it. China signed 20-year contracts with Brazil for soybeans because of Donald J. Trump. They don't want our soybeans. They don't want our beef. They don't want our wheat. They don't want anything we grow. As far as we're concerned, China can stick it up our ass. And can you blame them? Can you really blame them?
There are a lot of farmers that are really hurting right now because of these tariffs. And they are really needing some extra help. Trump, I really hope that you can get out there and help them. I know Biden and them put a plan together to subsidize farmers when they were having hard times in situations like this. But Trump, you didn't do that. You're not doing that. And they're asking for you to come out. I heard one guy said that you said you love the farmer and now he needs the fruit of their labor or something. So I'm curious, is this administration going to help out the farmers? Because they're needing some help. A lot of people are calling it socialism, that they don't like it. But it is what it is. You think the farmers are going to get the help they need? What do you think? You think President Donald Trump's going to come through for them? I hope so. You know, we got pulled up by our bootstraps, a lot of these people.
The president says, hey, you want to take a side break here, little sidebar. Just want to let the farmers of this great country know that we're going to set aside some tariff money to help you out. And don't worry, the payoff is coming. The payoff for the tariffs, it's coming. Just hold tight. It's on its way. First of all, farmers and ranchers, the tariff is a tax on the American people. I would really encourage you not to go out in public and say that it wasn't the American taxpayer that paid for the bailouts that are coming. It was the tariffs. I would really encourage you not to say that. I would really encourage you to do just a little bit, a modicum of research to understand what about 35% of us farmers understand. And that is that companies in the United States pay these tariffs and they pass it along to their consumers. And in the end, it is nothing more than a tariff tax on the American consumer. So every dollar that comes out of quote unquote the tariff money that's been raised is money that came out of the American consumer's pocket. And you would do well to remember that when you're out there bragging about the fact that it was tariff money that paid for the subsidies that are coming. Second of all, how long are we going to sit around and buy into the president's argument that good things are coming for American agriculture as a result of the tariffs? Why can't anyone in this administration, including the agricultural secretary, explain what that looks like? Why can't they explain what that looks like? Why can't they say, here's how it's going to pay off? This is how the tariffs are going to pay off. Because all of the experts across the board, Democrat, Republican, Independent, economic experts here in the United States and internationally, say there is no payoff. Agricultural purchasing is the easiest way for countries to strike back against the tariffs that the United States of America is leveraging around the world. This is why we've lost 35% of the markets in China and growing every day. This is why China only used to buy 13% of their row crop commodities from Brazil. Now they buy over 40%. This is why we just had a major purchase of soybeans from Argentina and not from the United States of America. Nobody in this administration can explain where the payoffs are coming from in regard to these tariffs for American agriculture. We are being gaslit, and a lot of you are still falling for it. It is time. It is time. We experienced this during the first 4 years where we needed the biggest farmer bailout in the history of this country, in the last year of the Trump administration and the first 2 years of the Biden administration. And here we are again looking at the biggest farmer bailout in history because of the fact that we have lost row crop markets all over this world. And I'm just telling you, don't go out there and tell people that it's being paid for by the money collected from the tariffs, because that money came directly out of the pockets of the American people. And don't be gaslit anymore. It is time for farmers and ranchers across this country, even if you can't admit you were wrong, just admit you were lied to and step up and say you're not buying what this administration is selling anymore.
The U.S. used to export massive tons of soybeans to China, but now that market is dominated by Brazil and Argentina, which are rapidly catching up. But now American farmers are left with tons of unsold crops, collapsing prices, and skyrocketing debt, which is causing them to ask for bailouts, Trump recently bailed out Argentina farmers $20 billion, while American farmers are going bankrupt. So this move has also angered many American farmers, all right? Many are now questioning, is that really putting America first or America forgotten? So many feel that is a betrayal, and now rural America is now waking up. As we stand today, promises of prosperity, they never come, They have been promised bailouts, but those bailouts never arrive, Rural towns that cheered for President Trump's at rallies are waving their hats, chanting his name, are now filled with frustrations, anger, and despair. Also, small towns, in rural America are now shutting down because there are no businesses, Some farmers are even selling their lands, and young people are leaving because they see no future in the soil their grandparents once tilled. So they gave their trust to him, but now they are being forgotten. So the story of American farmers is a warning to all Americans. Beware of leaders who promise the world, but only deliver pain. Because slogans sounds patriotic during campaigns, but they hide the real policies that enrich others at your expense, So across rural America, farmers are feeling that the damage is too deep and that they don't feel that they're going to recover anytime soon, because the markets are gone. The debt keep on piling up, So the future looks more uncertain than ever. For generations, farming was about building for tomorrow. But today, many farmers are just trying to survive. So I hope these farmers are going to find a way out, but we can all blame them because they were warned by people that Trump's trade wars would destroy their farms and would destroy their markets and their livelihoods, but they never listened, all right? So they're just reaping what they sow, but let's hope that they're going to find a way out to come out of this mess, all right? Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next video.